There's no one specific method for listening to the customer, but if you're having trouble getting started, I recommend following the customer discovery process that Steve Blank and Bob Dorff laid out in their book, The Startup Owner's Manual. The first thing you'll need to do is put together a list of at least 50 potential customers willing to talk to you. To create this list, you'll need to tap heavily into your network. Think about people you know, anyone in your co-founders or employees' address books or social media lists, conference lists, contacts lists, trade media, really anyone you can think of that might be receptive to your big idea. Don't worry too much about finding the decision makers. While you'll ultimately need to speak to them, for now you're just gathering information. Some of you might not be comfortable with this first step. Many people have trouble talking with potential customers. First, understand that no one finds this process particularly easy, and you might need to contact hundreds of potential customers to find 50 willing to talk to you. Setting reasonable expectations makes potential rejection easier to handle. Second, recognize that you're not trying to sell these customers anything. You're just asking for advice, something people love to give. Lastly, interviews are much easier if you go in with a plan. In particular, you'll need to develop a reference story that is about 20 seconds, details the problem you're trying to solve, why it's important to solve it, and the solution you're building. You'll also need an in. Sometimes this can merely be a personal relationship, a friend of a friend. Other times it can be a mutual trade. For instance, last spring, a group of my students gave away donuts to meet customers. They sat in the pit, a central spot on the UNC Chapel Hill campus, with 36 donuts, and within an hour talked to 36 potential customers about their proposed product. They also obtained 36 email addresses so they could stay in touch as the enterprise developed. If you play your cards right, customers will talk to you because they don't want to be left out. This is how we approached the process when I founded Information America, an online information business that initially targeted law firms as customers. The value proposition was to put the courthouse records online so they were easily accessible, and we offered the top law firms in Atlanta a chance to be in on the ground floor of the new product in exchange for serving as an ongoing advisory board as the product was developed. Not one of the big firms turned us down, and they all became charter subscribers once the product was launched. Of course, when the other firms learned that the biggest ones were in on the ground, they wanted to do it as well. Our business was launched with a product our customers and users helped us to design. Once you're ready to start cold calling customers, note that you don't want to read your pitch from a script, and you want to adapt it to each person you call. In addition, as you make more of these pitches, you'll want to take detailed notes on what worked and what didn't. What types of employees were more receptive to your call, and what types of pitch seemed most effective. Also note it's generally better to talk to a person rather than to use email or social media, though this is starting to change, and some people actually prefer electronic communication to talking on the phone or meeting in person. Also, depending on your resources at this stage, what you offer in exchange for the meeting could be more or less extravagant. For instance, it could be as simple as information, or it could be a donut or a very nice dinner. Lastly, and possibly most important, if you're turned down, make sure to say, "I absolutely understand how busy you are. Is there someone else I should talk to?" For those of you who still aren't comfortable with actually talking to customers, it's okay. Throughout the life of your venture, you'll need to augment your skills with complementary team members. As listening to your customers is so crucial, if you're not comfortable setting up the meetings, you need to bring someone on board who is. Customer interaction is vital to a new venture, so you need to make sure your team can do it and do it well. You ultimately want to be at a point where you're meeting with 3 customers per day, listening to their needs and determining their problems.